Welcome back to the Red Zone. We wrap things up, as always, with Sports Information Director Clark Teuscher. Clark, so it was a banner week in North Central College sports, highlighted by the men's cross-country national championship, but that result was sort of unsure as they were waiting on pins and needles for the final announcement.
Yeah, well, there were a series of protests because some athletes were left out of the initial results. So, everybody's kind of standing around waiting for over an hour, trying to, decipher whether or not their team has won or not. And thankfully, that all that waiting, had a positive end for North Central. It didn't necessarily have that for the other teams, but definitely a tense situation well after the race had been completed.
Well, it definitely was a good ending, and the Red Zone was there to see the Cardinals bring home their 15th cross-country national title. Let's go to the highlight.
Terre Haute, Indiana, better known as Cross Country Town, USA, the site for the NCAA Division III Cross Country Championships. Fans from all across the nation hope to cheer on their teams against head coach for North Central Al Carius and the defending national champion Cardinals, who are looking for their third title in 4 years. More than 350 men towing the line at the start of the 8-kilometer race on the Laverne Gibson Championship course. At the 2,000-meter mark, a pack of 4, including Tim Nelson of Wisconsin Stout, setting the pace, while the Cardinals are trying to find their stride within a jumbled-up pack. At 3,000 meters, Nelson starts to open up a big lead on the rest of the field, while John Crane and Dan Curley are pushing to stay in the top 20. At 5,000 meters, teammates Crane and Curley are stride for stride, running in 30th position. Roger Klein in the next pack with Jonathan Moscoti right on his heels. At 6,000 meters, Crane's still fighting for a top 10 spot in the crowd, while Curley has his eyes on an All-American finish. At the finish, it's Tim Nelson of Wisconsin Stout, your 2012 individual champion, in 24 minutes, 26.8 seconds. John Crane led the Cardinals with a 6th place finish in 24 minutes, 23.5 seconds. Dan Curley would also claim All-American honors as his time of 24:48.5 was good for 14th. Roger Klein's time of 25 minutes, 12.2 seconds was good for 44th overall. Jonathan Moscoti crossed in 50th in 25:17.4. And Tim Hurd rounded out the scoring for the Cardinals with a time of 25 minutes, 50.4 seconds. This one was too close to call until the official results were announced, and when they were, it was the Cardinals celebrating their 15th national title in 40 years, and another one to put in the trophy case for head coach Al Carius.
So, Clark, not only did the cross-country team come away with the win, but the men's basketball team got a really big win this weekend as they took down the number 7 team in the nation, Hope College.
Yeah, it's pretty rare to have so many high-profile sporting events on one day and have all their teams win. And they were the last one that day. They really practiced with a sense of urgency during the preseason, knowing that this game was going to be coming up, and they were going to have to play very well early in the season. And the last couple of seasons, they've struggled to do that. Certainly put together a quality effort from the beginning to the end, played really strong in the second half, which coaches always want to see. Wasn't necessarily the best shooting performance that they've had, but they've had advantages in rebounds, turnovers, and free throws, which are the areas that Coach Raridan really stresses to the team. So I'm certain that he was glad to see his team win a game that way.
And then they avenged a loss last year to Aurora as they took them down recently this week. It really seems that this team is sort of rising to the expectations that they had put on them in the preseason.
Well, I think they've raised their own expectations. I think they're starting to expect a little more out of themselves here early in the year to kind of justify what they've been given in terms of preseason rankings and everything. I think they really look at that as a responsibility to live up to those expectations and improve upon what they did in the past season, not just try to do the same thing.
And on the women's side, they were able to get their first win of the season against Alma. Obviously not the preseason rankings that the men's team has, but they're really hoping to improve off the record from last season.
Yeah, they're employing a very different style of play, much more up-tempo, a lot of full-court pressing, a lot of three-point shooting. It hasn't quite all come together for them yet. It's going to take a little while for them to kind of get used to that. It's helpful in that everybody has a chance to play in this system.
Right.
So everybody's invested and everybody's engaged, and there's great potential for improvement. It's just going to take a little bit of time. There are going to be some growing pains.
Yeah, you mentioned they're implementing a new offense. It's almost like a running gun. Just get the ball and move it down the court. How do you think that's going to help the Cardinals in the long run? Or do you think that may, tire them out if they don't have a deep bench?
Well, that's part of the idea is making sure that the conditioning level is high enough that players can play at that pace for 40 minutes. Once they get themselves to the point where they're able to kind of understand all the nuances of what looks like a very chaotic system, but it's actually a very organized system of play, it'll give them something that not every team sees every week. So they're going to have to spend some time preparing for something brand new. So you might have a chance to gain an edge that way.
And another season that's just getting started is the wrestling season, as the wrestlers head to the Concordia, Wisconsin Open, and Nathan Fitzenrider comes away with a second-place finish.
It's a good early season tournament. There's no team scores kept. You just wrestle a lot of guys and get some guys some experience early, which is good with a young team such as they have here. Nathan, this is his first event of the season. He's not really cutting weight yet, so he's wrestling up at weight class. So he's up against some bigger and stronger guys, but certainly came away with a strong result in his first competition of the year.
Well, there were definitely some strong results all around the Cardinal Nation this weekend. Clark, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The Cardinals hope to extend their season on Saturday when they face off against Linfield College. Kickoff set for 2 p.m. Central Time. You can find a link to the broadcast at northcentralcardinals.com under the football schedule tab. I'm Mark Dahlquist. We'll see you next week on the Red Zone.